brought to you by Accenture Extended Reality. This is Field of View.
As a venture fund, you really do three main things. It's you source deals, you invest in companies and then give them support. And then, of course, you find more investors for your fund. Like those are the three. And you, of course, work with your investors, right? So I guess four things really. But that's the main of what we do. But honestly, most of my day-to-day is talking to founders and, helping them, whether they're in our portfolio or not. We kind of view ourselves as, one of the major funds in this sector. So we try to be supportive and helpful for everyone, try to give open and honest feedback at every stage, try to connect, try to, problem solve. And me and my partner both have been founders ourselves, and we know how tough it is. And when I was on my entrepreneurial journey, there were, a handful of VCs that really were super helpful, even if they didn't invest. And I try to model myself after some of those folks, who really showed me how to be a proper VC.
And you invested in already in more than 40 companies in the XR space. Would you like to give us a little bit of drop some names of the companies, the most successful ones that you invested on? We know that you have a unicorn in your catalog of companies.
Yeah, so we've been doing this for almost 5.5 years now as a fund, and we focus on early stage, so seed and Series A, and we do virtual reality, augmented reality, and artificial intelligence investing. And like you alluded to, the first software unicorn in VR, company called Rec Room, we were one of the first checks in. They're one of the pioneers of the metaverse, and started with a VR focus, was one of the first viable VR social platforms, and then really expanded beyond that. They're now on console like PlayStation. They're on PlayStation VR, but also on regular PlayStation, on Xbox, and also on iOS. And it's really great, in terms of the creator community and how much interesting things they've done. And we've also invested in the most successful VR game studio, Beat Games, who created Beat Saber. They recently announced they made over $180 million in revenue. Which is crazy considering it's just been 3 years since they launched, and they were acquired by Facebook over a year and a half ago. Job Simulator, or the creator of Job Simulator, Alchemy Labs, they're one of the very first VR hits as well. But again, consumer and gaming is just a small part of our portfolio. We've done a lot of other investments, with Wave, they're a pioneer in virtual concerts, but also we've done healthcare, we've done education and training, we've done data science, life science. One of our companies, Apprentice, they're an AR solution for bio life sciences. They became critical during the pandemic because what they do is allow collaborative work and remote work for farm laboratories, essentially, right? And so this is amazing, but they helped accelerate some of the COVID vaccines, and the founder's mom actually got to take the vaccine that the company had actually helped accelerate and get to the market in record time. So those are some of the things, again, where it's just amazing to see the impact that these technologies can have, not just on the way we play, but the way that we work, the way that we live, the way that we heal. It's really exciting to support founders in this category doing profound work.
That's amazing. So sorry, that's where you are today, I guess, and that's the kind of companies you've done. But I'm interested, what's the story to how you get to someone like that? Take me back to the very beginning. I'm really interested.
Sure. I mean, as a kid, I kind of always grew up, born, a kid of the 80s and 90s. And, I always had this love of magic. And for me, animation was the first magic I saw, where you could take paper and images and create life, right? And then video games came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, and now you can make it interactive. And so I've always loved this, intersection of technology and creativity to create magic. And really, early on, I saw this potential in what would eventually, lead me on this path of VR and AR. I was animating just for fun. I learned computer graphics and to 3D model. As soon as I could, I started scripting little basic games on my calculator, then in the browser, then using Flash. I was really into Newgrounds back in the day, submitting animation there, and eventually got Unity, started playing with that, built my own game company, and really fell in love with this idea of oh gosh, we can create anything, we can do anything with these tools, and that they were pretty much freely available, and it was just amazing. And then really it was flash forward, I see the Kickstarter for Oculus, and John Carmack was backing it, and anything John Carmack says, I will listen to, right? And so I bought it, the DK1. I tried it. it was a little rough, but it showed the promise of like, oh my gosh, like something around the corner is going to be so profound. And then it was really the DK2 that showed like the positional tracking and how powerful that was to engage that extra like sense. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is just incredible. I started building more demos. One of the early demos I built with some friends, Eric Bale and John Dudley, it was trying to recreate scenes from the movie The Matrix. But instead of watching the movie, you live the movie. You get to be Neo talking to Morpheus when it explains to you that the world's an illusion and that you're really just a battery. And then you get to do some of the cool scenes like dodging bullets on the rooftop or the jump program. And so making the jump program, you see Morpheus, so you're in the construct, then you get teleported onto the rooftop. Morpheus talks to you, he does the jump. And then you have to free your mind. So then you this is still controller based on the DK2, but you push forward, you kind of move forward, you press the button, you jump. And then if you look down, you actually fall down 40 stories and then you kind of bounce off the floor like in the movie, right? And creating that experience, and this was just a nights and weekends project that we didn't spend that much time on, but I somehow accidentally hacked my brain and cured myself of my real life fear of heights. And so that kind of showed me, that was my aha moment where I saw, oh my gosh, this is not just, the next Nintendo. This is a new, profound new medium that has the ability to do something, unique, profound, unseen before, in terms of, how we experience the world. And so, that my aha moment of this is going to change everything. Right. And so I wanted to be more than just a game developer. I wanted to really do something more impactful for the space. And I realized my superpower at that time was, I was technical, I was creative, but I was also an entrepreneur. I had started my own mobile game company. I worked with investors. I got an M&A for it. So I knew how startup, especially early stage startup worked. And that allowed me to speak to investors, but also speak to game developer, early VR, AR developers, and really speak the language and be that bridge between the two. And so then I helped, set up the first VR, AR incubator. I was involved with the first cohort, and then I helped pick some of the companies in the second cohort, and then left, had the opportunity to join forces with my good friend Marco, and then we created the Venture Reality Fund. And we're $50 million fund based out of Silicon Valley, investing in early stage VR, AR, AI. We just recently announced we have a second fund, and it's just been amazing to be on this kind of journey and supporting these founders.
Did you know you can catch this full episode of Field of View and more by subscribing on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts to not miss another immersive technology moment? Subscribe today.